Azmodan is a hero with some unique abilities that make him a pretty crazy siege monster, especially if he's left alone. Hopefully my lukewarm opener didn't throw you off. This guy is designed to be a bit, way too much. I'll explain it somewhat, but it's not easy to show how often his abilities have to be dealt with, if they can be dealt with at all. His trait spawns a Demon Lieutenant anywhere on the map as long as it's relatively close to an allied unit, which has an ability to instantly kill an enemy minion every 7 seconds. The biggest problem with it is the global range, but it essentially guarantees a single minion's XP every 7 seconds, which is crazy when he's literally on the other side of the map entirely. And the basic attacks from it give it some chances to collect XP from the other minions in the wave as well. As for talents, Hellforged Armor can make the unit tankier and last longer, and Chain of Command can make the smite more frequent and also empower friendly units. Azmodan's Q is his strongest and centralizing basic ability, which functions as most of his teamfight contribution as well as a super strong siege tool. It's an extremely long-range, large AoE attack that scales in damage as he hits heroes or kills minions with it. The long range allows him to siege a neighboring lane, or at the very least slow down a push by heavily damaging all the minions in the opposing wave. Talents for this ability do pretty much anything you could want for an ability, increasing damage, decreasing the cooldown, mana restoration, basic attack enhancement, etc. The main limiting factor for it is that some talents are reliant on the amount of stacks he has, not that they're especially hard to come by, but keep that in mind, that he has to be using it to moderate effectiveness to keep it scaling well. Azmodan's W is another unit spawning ability, but instead of an instant kill, it deals passive damage in a small AoE around it while it's alive. It lasts half as long as the Lieutenant, but the passive damage AoE gives many chances to collect XP. But it also spawns directly from Azmodan and heads in a direction, so he'll usually use it to help push while he's in the lane. It's pretty good for sieging, and Army of Hell doubles the AoE damage dealt by doubling the amount of summons, so it pushes lanes fast with Azmo helping with Globe. However, Battleborn makes the cooldown of the ability irrelevant since the reduction still happens against non-heroic units. His E is a channeled damage ability that does some damage during the channel and a burst at the end. It slows him during the channel, so it gives a chance for the target to escape the range before the burst hits. It can be cast on structures too, so yet another on the pile of siege abilities. It's also his only hope for winning a 1v1 against enemy heroes, but any more than one and he should be running the other way, and fast. Hard crowd control interrupts it like any other channel, so he has to be very careful in fights or around tanks in general. Azmodan's first ult is yet another unit spawning ability, and one that does some damage on activation. It's very similar to Arthas's ult that summons small minions, but Azmos lose health over their 10-second duration, so they're even more susceptible to AoE effects. To make up for this though, they explode on death, which deals increased damage against heroes. It works perfectly fine for sieging, as you would expect with the rest of his kit, but it's the closest thing he has to a teamfight ability. The Storm talent cranks up its siege capability by increasing the damage dealt by the demons against structures. His other ult is simple, but buys into the centralizing power of his Q. It simply increases the damage of his next globe and negates the mana cost, but because it's a percentage increase, the damage of a globe can be absolutely devastating when it's highly or fully stacked. This can cause a mid-game globe to one-shot an entire enemy minion wave, which is helpful for sieging and extra helpful for gaining stacks immediately. The Storm talent leaves behind a pool that deals damage over time in the same AoE for 5 seconds while decreasing the armor of heroes over time as well. This talent helps his teamfight as well against most heroes, but he's still not very good for teamfighting, especially compared to most other heroes at 20. The biggest downside to this character is his lack of constant damage, but he more than makes up for it by being able to decimate lanes when left alone. The only talent he has that isn't tied to an ability is an additional active called Trample, which is a short-range dash. It doesn't really solve his lack of a movement ability entirely, but it slows enemies along the path, so it can prevent him from getting picked off when it's used well. It's hard to compare his sieges to most other heroes, and he can deal with other summoner types extremely well due to the powerful summons and high damage AoE abilities. His stats are also a little high compared to most other assassins, which usually pulls him over the edge when it comes to 1v1s with the other summoner type heroes. Not that he ever has to fight, since he can influence lanes from another zip code.